Welcome to the English Audio Club. Today, we learn English with a story. Let's begin. When I was 27, I worked in an office in Brisbane. I did my job well, and I had a good future ahead. I was alone in the world, but I was happy. On Saturday afternoons, I didn't work. I loved sailing my small sailboat in Moreton Bay. One Saturday, I sailed too far. A strong wind blew my boat out of the bay and into the open sea. That night, when I'd nearly lost hope, then a small British sailing ship saw me and rescued me. The ship was going to Sydney. The journey was long and full of storms. I worked on the ship to pay for my travel. When I finally reached Sydney, my clothes were old and dirty. I only had $1 in my pocket. I used it to buy some food and a place to sleep for the first 24 hours. But in the next 24 hours, I had no food and nowhere to sleep. Around 10 a.m. in the next morning, I walked along Martin Place. I saw a child holding a big pear. The child ate one small piece, then dropped it onto the footpath. I stood there, hungry, and just staring at it. I really wanted that pear. But every time I tried to pick it up, someone would walk by and stare at me. I'd quickly look the other way and wait. I kept trying again and again, but the same thing happened. I was desperate. Finally, I decided to just pick it up and stop worrying about what people thought. At that moment, a gentleman opened a window behind me and said, "Come in here, please." A well-dressed servant opened the front door and led me into a beautiful room. Inside, two older gentlemen were sitting and having a serious discussion. Their breakfast was still on the table. I couldn't help but stare. I was very hungry. I didn't know it then, but a few days earlier, the two brothers had made a strange bet. Let me tell you about it. The two older men were brothers. Their names were Mr. Wallace and Mr. Graham. For several days, they had argued about a curious idea, and as people often do in Australia, they decided to settle it with a bet. Here's what the bet was about. The Reserve Bank of Australia had issued two $1 million notes for a special international deal. One was used, but the second note remained locked in the bank. Mr. Wallace said, "If a smart, honest stranger arrived in Sydney, with no money or friends, only this $1 million note, he wouldn't survive. He couldn't spend it. People would think he stole it. He'd be arrested or starve." Mr. Graham disagreed. "No, I believe he could live for 30 days with it. People would help him. He'd survive, and he wouldn't be arrested." After days of debating, Mr. Graham said, "Fine. I'll bet you $20,000 that the stranger can live for 30 days with the banknote, and not end up in jail." Mr. Wallace accepted the bet. He went to the bank, and purchased the $1 million note, then wrote a letter. They sat by the window, and waiting for just the right man to appear. The two brothers, Mr. Wallace and Mr. Graham, watched many people pass by from their window in Sydney. Some looked honest but weren't very clever. Others looked smart but didn't seem honest. Some were both honest and smart, but not poor. And a few were honest, smart, and poor, but not strangers. Then they saw me. After asking a few questions and hearing my story, they said, "You're the right man for our bet." I asked them to explain what they meant. One of the brothers handed me an envelope and said, "Don't open it now. Wait until you're back in your hotel room and read it carefully." I was confused and a bit hurt. It felt like I was part of some joke. As I left their house, I looked around for the pair I saw earlier on the street, but it was gone. That made me even more annoyed. Far from their house, I finally opened the envelope and saw money inside. I didn't stop to read the letter. I ran straight to the nearest cafeteria. I was so hungry, I ate and ate until I was full. Then I pulled out the envelope to pay. When I saw the note, I nearly passed out. It was a $5 million banknote. I froze and staring at it. This must be a mistake, I thought. They must have meant to give me $5, not $5 million. The cafe owner saw the note too, his jaw dropped. I gave him the bill and said, "Can you give me the change, please?" He backed away nervously. "I'm sorry, sir, I can't change this note. I don't have that kind of money." I begged, but he shook his head. "Please, don't worry. You must be a rich man playing a prank, dressing like someone poor. You can eat here anytime and pay later." After leaving the cafe, I ran back to the brother's house. I wanted to return the note and fix the mistake. But the servant opened the door and said, "They are gone." "Gone? Where?" I asked. "They went on a trip to the continent, I think. They'll return in a month." "A month?" I gasped. "But this is urgent." "I'm sorry, sir. All their family are away too. Some in Egypt, some in India. But don't worry. They said they'll be back in time." I was frustrated and confused. My head spun. Then I remembered the letter. I pulled it out and finally read it. "You are an intelligent and honest man. You are also poor and a stranger here. Inside this envelope is some money. It is yours to use, for 30 days only. At the end of the 30 days, please return to us." The letter from Mr. Wallace ended with these strange words. "I have made a bet about you. If I win, you can have any job you like, with any salary you choose." But there was no name, no address, no date. I walked to Hyde Park and sat on a bench, completely confused. What kind of bet was this? After thinking for an hour, I came to a decision. These two old men are playing some kind of strange game. They are betting on me. At that moment, I didn't know the full details. I thought, if I go to the Reserve Bank of Australia with this $5 million note, they'll ask too many questions. If I tell the truth, no one will believe me. If I lie, I might end up in jail. And no honest person will ever accept this note from me. There's only one thing I can do: keep the note safe for 30 days. The hope of getting a big job with a big salary gave me energy. So I began walking through the streets of Sydney. Each time I passed a tailor's, I longed to buy some decent clothes. But what could I do? I had a banknote worth millions, and no way to use it. Eventually, after walking past the same shop 6 times, I stepped inside and quietly asked, "Do you have an old, cheap suit no one wants?" The first salesman nodded silently. Then another man looked at me, nodded too, and said, "One moment." He led me to a back room, and found the ugliest suit in the shop. I didn't complain, I needed clothes. When it was time to pay, I said, "Could you wait a few days for the money? I don't have small change on me." The man looked at me and said coldly, "I thought gentlemen like you carried large change." I replied, "You can't judge someone by their clothes. I can pay, but can you change a large note?" "Of course we can," he said with a smirk. I handed him the $5 million note. He grinned until he read it. His face dropped. The shop owner came over. "What's the problem here?" I said. "No problem at all, I'm just waiting for my change." "Then give him his change, Todd," the owner barked. Todd stammered. "But, look at the note, sir." The owner looked down. Then he looked at the old, scruffy suit I was holding. He gasped. "Todd. You fool. This man's a millionaire. And you gave him that old thing." He turned to me. "Sir, please take off those rags you're wearing. Burn them. You deserve this elegant suit instead, simple but stylish." I thanked him, saying I was happy with the change. But he wasn't done. "Just wait until we make suits in your proper size. Todd, get the measuring book. Morning suits, evening suits, coats, let's dress this gentleman properly." Before I could say a word, they were already measuring my arms and legs. I said to the tailor, "You can only send me these things if you can wait a while to be paid, or if you can change my banknote." The owner replied, "Wait? I'll wait forever, sir. Todd, pack these things for the gentleman. Other customers can wait." "What's your address, sir?" "I'm moving to a new place." "I'll come back and give it to you," I said. "Right you are, sir. Let me walk you out." "Good day, sir." "Good day." And so, the impossible happened. I began buying everything I needed, without spending any actual money. I simply showed the $1 million note. Every time I asked for change, the result was the same, no one could break it. I moved into a luxury hotel in Sydney's Circular Quay, dined like a king, and lived like a VIP. But every morning, I still preferred breakfast at a small, humble cafe called Harry's. Harry's was where I had eaten my first proper meal using that ridiculous note. Soon, word got out. All of Sydney knew about the mystery millionaire with the $1 million note. The story was in every newspaper. Sydney Sketch magazine even printed a cartoon of me on its cover. People watched everything I did. They followed me in the streets. Sometimes, I wore my old clothes, just to see the look on shopkeepers' faces when they thought I was poor, until I pulled out the note. Oh, how their attitudes changed. After 10 days, I was invited to meet the American ambassador in Sydney. He greeted me warmly and said he had known my father from their university days at Yale. That evening, he invited me to a fancy dinner party. I was thrilled. I knew I'd need powerful friends when the truth about the banknote and the bet finally came out. There were 14 guests at the ambassador's party. But what truly stunned me was meeting a charming 22-year-old English woman named Portia Langham. I fell in love with her in 2 minutes, and it seemed like she felt the same. Everything changed in that moment. Then, the servant announced a new guest, Mr. Lloyd Hastings. As soon as he saw me, his eyes widened. "I think I know you." "Yes, you probably do." "Are you the—" "Yes. I'm the strange millionaire. The guy with the $1 million note." "Well, well. What a surprise. I never expected you to be the same Henry Adams. From Brisbane. Just 6 months ago, you were working at Brooks and Howard's office in Queensland," said Lloyd Hastings in shock. "You were on a tiny salary, and you helped me in the evenings, remember? Filing all the paperwork for the gold and quartz mining company. Now here you are, a millionaire, famous in Sydney. I can hardly believe it." "Neither can I, Lloyd," I said with a laugh. "Just 3 months ago, we were at the Diggers' Diner. No, wait, it was the Golden Galley, wasn't it?" "That's it, the Golden Galley. It was 2 in the morning. We had steak and coffee and worked 6 straight hours on those mining papers. Henry," he said, getting serious, "I asked you to come to Sydney with me, to help sell the shares in the gold and quartz mine, but you said no." "Of course I remember. I didn't want to leave my job in Brisbane. And honestly, I thought it would be hard to sell shares in an Aussie mine here in this big city." "You were right, mate. It was impossible. The plan failed. I lost everything." He looked down, crushed. "I don't want to talk about it. But you must. After this party, I want to hear everything. You need a friend, Lloyd." His eyes welled up. "Thanks, Henry. You've always been a true mate." At that moment, it was time for dinner, but thanks to the British rules of precedence, there was no dinner at all. The Duke of Toorak wanted to sit at the head of the table. So did the American ambassador. They couldn't agree, so no one ate. Thankfully, the Brits always eat before going out. Foreign guests like me. We stayed hungry. All we got was a sardine and a strawberry. After that, the guests played cribbage, a card game. But the English don't play just for fun, they play to win or lose something serious. Portia and I played too, but barely paid attention. I looked at her radiant face and said, "Miss Langham, I love you." "Mr. Adams," she whispered, smiling, "I love you too." It was a magical evening. We smiled, laughed, and talked. I was honest with her. I told her I was poor, that the $1 million note wasn't even mine. She laughed so hard I thought she might cry. "Why is that funny?" I asked. I didn't understand what she found amusing, but she did. I explained I needed a proper job, with a good salary, to pay off all my debts. Then I asked gently, "Portia, when I go see those 2 gentlemen, will you come with me?" "If I can help you, of course," she replied. "You can help me. You're so kind and lovely that, with you by my side, I could ask for any job or salary, and they wouldn't refuse me anything." Later that night, I returned to my hotel with Hastings. He talked about his troubles, but honestly, I wasn't listening. I was thinking about Portia the whole time. As we stepped inside, Hastings looked around and sighed. "Let me just stand here and admire this place. It's like a palace. Look at the furniture, the decor, you have everything. He looked me in the eye and said quietly, "You're rich, Henry." And I'm poor. And that's when the idea hit me. Although the world thought I was rich, the truth was, I was still poor, with no money and mounting debts. Winning the bet from the two gentlemen, that was my only hope. Lloyd Hastings, still unaware of my secret, leaned toward me. "Henry, just a small part of your wealth could save me. I'm desperate." "Sit down, mate," I said warmly, handing him a hot whiskey. "Tell me everything. Every word. You want to hear it again? I told you everything on the way here." "Lloyd?" "I didn't hear a single word of it." "What's wrong with you, Henry? Are you all right? What did you drink at that dinner party?" "Oh, Hastings. I'm in love." I smiled. "All I can think about is my darling Portia. That's why I didn't hear you before." Hastings laughed and shook my hand. "Well, I'm happy for you, mate." So he patiently told the story again. To keep it short, the owners of the gold and quartz mine in Queensland had sent Hastings to Sydney to sell all the mine's shares for $1 million. Any money he made over that amount would be his to keep. He tried everything. But no one was interested. Suddenly, he leapt from his chair. "Henry, you can save me. Just give me $1 million and I'll sell you all the shares. You'll own the mine." I froze. I wanted to tell him the truth, but then, a better idea came to me. I smiled calmly. "I'll save you, Lloyd. But not by buying the shares." "What do you mean?" "I know that mine is valuable. And people in Sydney know me. You'll sell those shares, using my name." "Your name?" "Yes. Say I personally back the mine. People trust me. In a week or two, you'll sell the shares for $3 million. And we'll split the profits, half for you, half for me." Hastings was so overjoyed, he danced around the room. "Your name, Henry. The $1 Million Man. People will rush to buy the shares." The very next day, all of Sydney was talking about the Queensland gold mine. I stayed at the hotel and simply said, "Yes, I know Mr. Hastings. He's very honest. And I know that mine, it's full of gold." And just like that, everyone believed. Every evening, I visited Portia at the U.S. ambassador's residence. I didn't tell her about the mine. I wanted it to be a surprise. We talked of love and dreamed of the future. Soon, the end of the month arrived. Many wealthy Sydney-siders had bought shares. Both Lloyd and I had $1 million in the Sydney and Coastal Bank. It was time to face the two gentlemen. I put on my finest clothes and went to find Portia. As we walked to Portland Place, we talked. "Portia," I said, "you're so beautiful. When they see you, they'll give me any job I ask for, any salary." She smiled kindly. "But, Henry, if we ask for too much, we might end up with nothing." "Don't worry, Portia. Whatever happens now, I'm ready," I whispered as we arrived. The same servant opened the door. Inside, the two old gentlemen, Mr. Wallace and Mr. Graham, were sipping tea. They were quite surprised to see Portia. I introduced her, then said, "Gentlemen, I'm ready to report to you." "Excellent," said Mr. Wallace. "Now we can settle the bet. If you've helped me win, you may have any job you like." "Do you have the $1 million note?" he asked. "Right here, sir," I said, handing it to him. He clapped his hands and shouted, "I won, what do you say now?" "You win." He survived. And I lost £2,000. "I have more to tell you," I said. "But that story's for another day. For now, take a look at this." I handed them a certificate of deposit for $400,000, about £200,000. "Is this really yours?" they asked. "It is. I earned it, all by using the note you lent me." Portia's eyes widened. "Henry, you didn't tell me you'd made all that money." "No, I didn't. But I'm hoping you'll forgive me." Don't be so sure," she said, teasing. "You lied to me. Only for fun. Come on, let's go now." Wait, Mr. Wallace said. "You mustn't leave yet. I owe you a job, any job, with any salary." "Name it." "Thank you, sir. But I don't want the job." "Henry," Portia said, giggling. "That's not how you thank someone. May I do it for you?" "Please," I smiled. To my surprise, Portia walked up to Mr. Wallace, sat on his lap, and kissed him right on the mouth. The two old gentlemen laughed and cheered. I was completely speechless. "Dad," she said sweetly, "Henry doesn't want your job. And honestly, I'm a little hurt." "Wait. Papa. That's your father?" I asked. "Well, he's my stepfather, but yes." Now I understood why she had laughed so much when I first told her my story. "Sir," I said to Mr. Wallace, "I take back what I said earlier. There is one job I'd love to have." "Name it." "I want to be your son-in-law." Mr. Wallace chuckled. Well, but you've never done that kind of job before. Try me. Give me 30 or 40 years. If I do well, keep me." Were Portia and I happy? There aren't words in the dictionary strong enough to describe how happy we were. When everyone in Sydney heard the full tale of my adventure with the $1 million note, they couldn't stop talking about it. Mr. Wallace cashed in the note at the Reserve Bank of Australia, then gave us the cancelled note as a wedding gift. We framed it and hung it on the wall of our new home. And whenever people ask me about it, I always say, yes, it was a $1 million note, but it only ever bought one thing. The most valuable thing in the world. Portia. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more real-life inspired tales, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to English Audio Club, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Your support means the world, and I'll see you in the next one.